October has historically been one of the most bullish months for crypto in this market's history. And in today's episode of the Everything Crypto Show, I'm going to break down 3 altcoins that I believe could provide outsized returns for this upcoming month. Now, before we hop into the content, just a friendly reminder that I am not a financial advisor, nor do I offer any sort of financial advice on YouTube. I am simply here for your crypto news and entertainment purposes. And if you do find the videos informative and entertaining, please consider hitting that sub and like button and turn that notification bell on so you can be notified when all of our latest videos go live on the channel. So without further ado, we are going to hop right into today's content. I do want to give you my top 3 altcoins for the month of October, which, as mentioned in the intro, is historically one of the most bullish months here for the crypto market. Additionally, if we take a look at Q4 as well, since 2013, we have had 6. We've had 7 green months here compared to 4 red quarters, not months, quarters, sorry. So, historically speaking, Q4 does tend to be pretty bullish for the market, and that's why I do think it's important to discuss, as we are in October now, what altcoins I am looking at for this upcoming month. So coming in at spot number 1, I do want to talk about Render. This coin is up 31% over the past month, still down about 50% from all-time highs it put in March at about $13.50. And Render is a project we have been covering on the channel since last year, and with good reason. I mean, this altcoin has been a huge outperformer here if we measure it from the beginning of the bull run. This coin is up about 1,900%, and again, that is even after a 50% decline from the highs it put in back in March. So what exactly is the Render network? Well, Render is essentially a decentralized GPU marketplace, which actually allows people to tap into the Render network and use this GPU power for different computation, content creation, and AI tasks. Okay, so if we take a look here at compute clients, the Render network's ecosystem of decentralized GPU supports the next generation of machine learning and artificial intelligence applications. Basically supporting emerging compute workflows across machine learning, training, inference, fine-tuning, and generative AI imaging. And I do think this is a big reason why the Render network has been such a big winner of this bull run. We know that artificial intelligence has been a big theme of this market over the past, year and a half, almost 2 years at this point since ChatGPT has launched. And that can be reflected even in the traditional stock market with certain stocks such as Nvidia, which would be the most popular example of that. We did also cover on the channel pretty recently that the month of September was the biggest month for Render in terms of the amount of token burns. And token burns are important when the market sees that tokens are being burned. Effectively, it means there are less tokens on the market available to go around, making each existing token more valuable. And BNB is a pretty good example of some of the bullish price action we can see when token burns, are implemented. We see that BNB, this was a massive winner of the last bull run, actually shooting up from about $30 at the beginning, call it $40 at the beginning of 2021, and peaking at about $700 or just under that here by the end of that bull run. So, when people see that altcoins are being burned, it does tend to lead to bullish price action for the most part. And we just saw the largest month of burns for the Render token due to the burn mint equilibrium. And I'm not going to break down exactly what the BME is. If you want to learn more about that, feel free to check out our video on Render where we do break all of that down. But effectively, the more the Render network is being used, the more tokens are burned. So increased adoption leads to increased burns, which should hypothetically drive up the value of the Render token itself. Additionally, I spoke about this tweet from Monopoly here. He basically says that Sol circulating supply and max supply is almost identical to Render. Sol was $3.24 on January 15th, 2021. It closed at $236 on November 5th, 2021. I believe it went even higher than that. But based on this assumption here, that is a 72x in 10 months. So actually comparing the similar supply, the circulating supplies of both Solana and Render, it's not to say that Render will go on a Sol-like run and hit triple digits, but it is to say that if you believe Render has as much potential as Solana, then yeah, those price points could look similar because they do share a lot of similarities in terms of that circulating supply. Render also being the biggest DePIN project on Solana. Now, taking a look at this chart here for the Render token, for the near term, the one thing I do want to mention is that it is actually at its bull market support band at the moment. So if Render is able to get above its bull market support band at about the $6.50 mark, the next level I am eyeing is 880, which is the 2021 all-time high. And that is where I would be looking for some more resistance for the Render token. And to the downside, I would be looking for a retest of that $5.20 range, give or take, if it does want to make its way back down to those levels. However, I do think that while Render has been one of the biggest winners out of the top 100 for this bull run, that is a trend that is set to continue, and that is why it comes in at spot number 3 on this list. Now, moving into spot number 2, I do want to talk about SUI, SUI. This is a newer Layer 1 token here that has gone on a massive run over the past month, up 127%. So I think there are two big reasons that this altcoin in particular has rallied so much. And the first one I want to talk about here is the Builder House event that took place in Singapore. Now, there were a ton of announcements here, but I think the big one that we really should talk about is the fact that Circle's USTC altcoin is coming to this chain. Additionally, the cross-chain transfer protocol will be launching on SUI, enabling developers to build cross-chain flows from other chains like Solana, Ethereum, and more. USDC, the second largest stablecoin by market cap, the fact that this stablecoin is making its way onto this chain should hypothetically open up a ton of liquidity and a bunch of different use cases for DeFi. So, pretty important here for the adoption of this blockchain that USDC is being made available on it. And a big thing for SUI is it's a blockchain and smart contract platform aiming to simplify and improve the creation of applications and functions in the Web3 ecosystem. Its model is based on the Move programming language and enables parallel transaction execution. So this definitely does mark a huge milestone here for the SUI blockchain. Once again, looking to potentially open it up to tons of liquidity. And speaking of liquidity and just total value lock going up on the chain, I think it's another reason this altcoin has rallied so much over this past month, because in the same time period that the token is up 127%, the amount of total value locked on this chain is up 71%. This blockchain now ranks in the top 10, in 8th place to be specific, of total value locked across all chains. With 1.25 billion in TVL, okay? And additionally, if we take a look at where the TVL was for this chain earlier in the summer, sitting at about 400 mil in early August, basically 3x'd here, over 3x'd up to that 1.262 billion level. I think that is another reason that this token has been rallying so much, as more liquidity has been flowing onto the chain, and with SUI being the native token of its respective blockchain. Now, taking a look at the chart here, you guys may remember, if you do watch our videos, we spoke about this altcoin back here in the low $1 range, and yeah, since then this coin has been on an absolute tear, okay, up about 50% from when we spoke about it in the mid to low $1 area here, sitting at just over $1.82 at the moment. And if we do want to measure it from the all-time high that it did put in March, it is about 18, basically 20% off of those levels up here at 218. So to the downside, really, we have that $1.80 level of support, which it is sitting at the moment. Below that, I am looking at the $1.55 range, which did act as support here in February before this coin ran up to that all-time high. And then, above that, I would be looking for $2 and then that $2.18 level here to the upside. And that is why SUI comes in at spot number 2 on this list. It is a new Layer 1 making lots of moves. The TVL is growing. And just what I've noticed from general market cycles is that they do tend to favor newer Layer 1s, with new technology, new dApps, and SUI could be very well positioned to benefit from that in this bull run. Now, coming in at spot number 1 on this list, I do want to talk about Ethereum, and we're not going to talk about it from a news perspective. I'm not going to discuss the ecosystem as a whole too much because I'm assuming that most people know most of what is going on with Ethereum. I want to really just talk about this from a technical perspective, okay? From a sentiment perspective and a technical perspective. For starters, look at the sentiment, 71% bearish versus 29 bullish. Ethereum sentiment has been pretty low as of recently, and in my opinion, it's never really been a good idea to remain too bearish on Ether, the second largest crypto by TVL, the largest DeFi blockchain. And we can take a look here at the Ether Bitcoin ratio as well. I'm not even looking at the Ethereum USD ratio. I'm looking at Ethereum versus its Bitcoin ratio, as I am eyeing it here at a very key area of support at the 0.04 level, okay? So we can see here that back in 2017, this acted as support. In 2019, it acted as resistance. Then again in late 2020, and also in early 2021, okay? Now, when Ether broke above the 0.04 level, that is when Ether went on a run, outperforming Bitcoin by about 120% from April of 2021 up to December. So about half a year of outperformance from Ethereum. Now what we are seeing is Ethereum back again at a very similar, back at that level of support of 0.04. And do I think it could go lower? Of course it could go lower, but I do think that the Ether Bitcoin valuation is approaching a bottom, which means I do expect Ether to outperform Bitcoin in Q4 and moving into 2025. So once again, not a fundamental trade, not a news-based trade, more of a technical and sentiment trade, and that is why it comes in at spot number 1. I do also think it's worth noting that if Ether Bitcoin starts to outperform and go to the upside, this also most likely means that majority of alts are outperforming Bitcoin as well, which does tend to line up with what happens in later parts of cycles, not to mention the fact that we have the Fed cutting rates. So I do think that all of this lines up for a pretty bullish Q4 and 2025 for Ethereum, and that is why it comes in at spot number 1 on this list. So on that note, I hope you enjoyed the content in today's video. I hope you are all staying happy, safe, and healthy, and I hope to catch you in the next one. Peace out for now.